Hey, I'm Supats, lifelong solopreneur. Now living my life with only one passion to help solopreneurs to launch their digital products on fast track so that they can be profitable as fast as within 1 week, and they want to scale, they can join the membership. And as a bonus, I show them how they can sell their digital products all over the world using affiliates. Without further delay, let's get started. Welcome to New Beginning Inspiration for you. And as our promise, you will find our today's guest will be empowering you, your business life, your personal life in every possible way. We are going to talk about Leonard Scheiner today, and he has a business called Geek Haus. And Leonard, it's really, I was looking at his profile. He is great accomplisher in branding and PR and media and all. And these are the areas I see that many solopreneurs shy away because those areas are really expensive and they think they cannot afford them. So then they come up with the excuse that, oh, I don't need it. So I have many questions about that. So without further delay, let me invite Leonard, and I want to know more about your journey because you're so young and you still accomplish so much. So I just want to know how did you have this
Well,
past
yeah, well,
success?
thank you so much for
Tell me
having
about your
me
journey.
on the show. I think New Beginning is a great place to chat with you, Sue. So thanks again for having me. And I mean, I guess I might look young, but I'll let you in on a secret. I'm not that young. So I,
But then I prefer that. Okay, because I want to grow
exactly.
old, but I don't like to look old.
You and
So
I look the
hey,
same
then
age,
I
I
want to
think.
know more.
So that for all of our listeners. Okay, so
No.
yeah.
Oh, no,
So
you are
in
like my
terms of
adopted son.
my journey, I started out, I guess where a lot of people start, right? Going to college, going to university. And it was during that time that I really found a love for communications and branding and marketing, right? It was just something that I was very much so into. So started off as an intern in a law firm, worked my way up through the ranks in different law firms, ultimately becoming the CMO for an international firm. And it was a wonderful experience because I got to learn a lot, right? Law is very thick, if we want to say, right? The law books are thick. So I got to learn a lot, but I also got to get my hand in a lot of different things. So when we're talking about creating a new firm or marketing a firm or doing events for a firm or social or content or how do we create our authority when there's 100 other attorneys on the same street doing exactly what we do, right? And so um, that's really where I found my zone of genius, my secret sauce. And I just want to preface our interview though by saying that my experience is in legal and medical, right? So I run a PR and marketing agency today for lawyers and doctors. But what I do doesn't just apply to lawyers and doctors. It really applies to all service-based businesses. So you might be a yoga teacher, you might be a plumber, you might be a dentist, you might be a financial advisor. Anyone in the services business, the professional services, what are you selling? You're selling something often intangible, right? Yoga is intangible, legal is intangible. So, what we have to do is package ourselves, and that is branding. So, that's what we're here to talk about today.
That's really great to know because our audience, mostly listeners, they are mostly of coaches.
Yep,
So, digital products creator, affiliate marketers. So, even they can use all the wisdom
definitely
what
apply.
we gain from today's podcast. So, I really, so, so what is branding and why people
Well, I
shy
think
away
there's a
from branding?
misconception. A lot of people think about branding as just your logo or just your color. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
logo
Or
or
maybe like,
colors. That's the only
what
thing.
do
Yeah.
I'm going to do graphics for social media and what does that look like, right? So I need to get my brand together. Okay, my logo. That is a great starting point. But we actually don't start there. We start with a deep dive into what is your company, right? Like, what do you stand for? What are the values? What are your goals? So, the easiest way to describe this is if I, was in relationship with someone, let's call them Bob, right? And if I was coworkers with Bob, if I was neighbors with Bob, if Bob worked at the local coffee shop, we all have our personal brand, and what that is really the impression or the feeling that people have about us when we're not there, right? So are people talking behind our backs? Yes. What are they saying? How do they feel? That is stemming from our brand. And so if people, well, so in my example, Bob, right? I might say he's kind, he's integrous, he's professional, he is goal driven, he's a really kind guy, right? I could say all those things, and those are all talking about him, but also his personal brand, right? He's always going to do the right thing, etc. So for a company, we can do and think about the same thing, right? If we think about a company like Apple, what is their brand? It's sleek, it's innovative, it's technologic, it's forward, right? And then we think about another company, maybe like what's another brand? We could think about like,
And Apple also, it's mainly
well,
about they make the things very simple.
I wouldn't say
Yeah, you
simple.
won't.
I would say simple at the beginning stage, right? Of what
Oh,
your goals are, what your um, really what your vision is, what the personality you want the company to have.
no, 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 no. I'm
Hmm.
talking about Apple.
Oh yeah,
Apple's branding. I was talking about the Apple's branding because they make it more like a user friendly. They don't really give you the complicated roadmap to use. So when someone takes iPhone, they don't have to figure out much about how to
that
use
is
it. So I was just talking about Apple. I was not talking about
No, good
general branding.
understanding. Yeah.
Sorry,
So Apple
sorry to
is
interrupt
simple
you.
in their branding. So that's really where we start, right? Like who are you? What is it that you're creating? And if you're a coach, what is it that you want people to think about you, right? Are you fun and energetic and have a lot of energy and you gotta, you're just bursting at the seams? Or are you very regimented? Do you have a professional tone? Do you speak with confidence, right? Like those are very different. And so that's really at the basis of branding, right? We're discovering who are you, but we're asking that question to the company. So from there, then we know what we're creating visually, right? A brand is visual, most of it, your visual branding. And so that's when we get into the logos, the colors, all of the other details. So it's a multi-step process. And when people think that it's expensive and they don't need it, I would say that maybe some of those thoughts that they're having in their head aren't, those beliefs aren't really founded, right? Is it expensive? Well, yes and no, right? You can make it expensive or you cannot make it expensive. Is it needed? Well, I guess if you're doing well already and you don't have a brand, then I guess it's not needed for you. But on the larger scale, as you're looking to grow, as you're looking to have that impression upon people, right? Like, oh, I've seen you around before, right? Like that type of comment, you need a brand. Any big corporation has a brand, right? They're the household names. We know them today. You need a brand to be known.
Yeah, thank you. I really, it's great to know. I remember when I was crafting my offer, and on my sales page, I have written that while making money or something like that. And I had, I think, something related to fun and energy and all on my sales page. And before publishing my sales page, I was part of many memberships and masterminds and all. So I just wanted people to review and I wanted feedback on my sales page. And first group where I told them to review my sales page, And there were some ladies. They said, I don't do business to have fun. She said, if I
Hmm.
want to have fun, I will go out with my friends. I do business only to make money. But I said, my idea is to incorporate fun also, because I don't want whatever work you are doing
Exactly.
it to feel like a chore. I want you to enjoy it. And she said, no, no, no. For fun, I'll go with friends. I say, okay, that might be just her perspective. And then I got my sales page reviewed by other people, and nobody took objection. So then I realized it was just her perspective. But I shouldn't change my branding because of her perspective. Means if I cannot resonate, if I cannot relate to her, that's perfectly fine. I cannot relate to everyone else, everyone on this earth, right? Means there are few section of people, yeah, they can relate to
So
me
Stu,
and they will join my
Stu, I want to
community.
interrupt you just a
So
minute
you are
because you made
talking
a
about,
really great point. That's a really
sure,
great point. Is that if someone is not wanting to combine fun with business, then they're probably not the ideal client for you, right? So this
yeah,
is exactly what we're talking about
yes,
today.
yes,
It's that when you establish a brand, you can repel the people that are not right for you. And at the same time, just like a magnet, right? You can have a magnet that repels, or you can have a magnet that pulls. And what you're going to do is pull the people who want to have the fun in their business to you. So attract your audience by, talking about your brand. Great example.
yeah. And I really liked you are incorporating various things like your goal and your vision in branding, because so branding is way beyond just the colors and the logo. It is your goal and your vision, and what you stand for, your principles. So nowadays storytelling is really prominent. People talk about storytelling and all. So how do
I
you
love this
incorporate
question. So
storytelling in
people will
branding?
think that branding is something that's done once, and then you use that logo and the color and you use those assets forward, and then that's it. But in reality, the brand is shaping every piece of communication that comes from your company. So whether it's your newsletter, whether it's social, whether it's storytelling in your newsletter, storytelling from stage if you're giving a talk, anytime you are communicating from your brand, right? You've got to put on that brand hat and think, what would the company say about this? How would the company communicate this? Right? So if we are having fun in our business and we're wearing the hat of our company, and it is fun, and we're speaking from our company, then we need to have fun language, right? Like it needs to be energetic. We need to be excited in the language because that is true to who our brand is, right? What our brand is. Versus if we're storytelling and the stories go, yay, and then they always end in the gutter, but we're supposed to be a happy brand, that doesn't really match, right? So we want to make sure that the stories that we're telling really aid in helping us tell our brand story. Very much so.
Yeah, thank you. This is really great perspective. And I want to know, so what is a digital breath? Because I was looking at your profile and I said, okay, I know digital marketing, I know digital agencies, I know lots of digital products and all. But what is
Yeah, I mean,
digital breath? How
when
do you
you're
define it?
talking online, right? You are speaking, you are doing podcasts like this, you're on social, and when we're talking in person, right? We can almost say like, oh, maybe I don't like that person, right? Like maybe their breath smells, and like, it's just not a good situation, whether it does or not, right? But we've all been in those conversations where we're like, I want to pull the eject button and I want to be out of here. Like, you notice because your feet start to turn sideways and they're not facing the person. You start backing up from that. You're like, I gotta go. I want to
Yeah.
go. I don't want to be in this conversation. Okay. So just like that, in person, you have digital breath too. And so if you're always talking about sales, 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 buy my product, I can help you there. Sales, sales, I can buy my product. Guess what? Your digital breath stinks, and you're going to repel a lot of people, and they're never going to be there to hear the good things that you say. They're never going to be there to hear your wisdom, to hear your coaching, to hear your advice, because they're turned off by you completely. So the way that we want to be conscious of our digital breath is by making sure that, just like what we would do in a regular conversation in person, we want to do that online too. So we want to demonstrate online that we are an expert, that we are credible, that we have the authority and the experience to talk about what
Mhm.
we're talking about, and parlay that into someone's success versus sales, sales, sales.
But what about other extreme? Because I have seen people in totally other extreme that they just give and never
Well,
share
I
their
always
offers.
question,
What
are they
about
in
that?
business or are they running a charity? Because a business does need, yep, a
Yeah,
business
you're
does
right.
need to have
You're
sales, right?
absolutely
But
right.
sales are built on relationships. So
Mhm.
having a good mix, and that's going to be different for everyone. And you know, I've seen some people who do the sales thing, within an hour, they might make four, five, six different offers, right? But it doesn't feel salesy because it's done with the idea of service, right? I can serve you, I can solve that problem. This would be a good solution for you, right? Give more value. Great. And if you want to hop into that, that will help you solve that problem. But then value, 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 and it's done beautifully, right? And that's, I love to see that. But then we've also, seen the other side of that where there's no relationship, there's no value that's preceding them asking for money, and it's just straight sales, right? So to your point of the other extreme, we don't want to be on either side of the extremes, right? If we're looking at a regular bell curve distribution, we want to be right there, somewhat in the middle. So, when we look at how we are communicating, I'm evaluating for my clients, are we giving enough advice to ask for the sale?
This is really good because there should be a good balance. Because many times, if you are just sharing value, and after that, if you don't tell them what to do next, you're doing disservice. Because sharing your offers can be the best thing for them to take the next step. But if you are not
Mhm.
telling them, you are not serving them. So that is so important. It is so important to have the balance. And yeah, you explained it so well. And yeah, forming relationship and trust, that is so needed. Yeah, means you just cannot just sell without having any relationship. You have to find the need and then provide solution. If there
Exactly.
is no
And that's
need,
why
how can you
when
provide
when we're
solution?
selling professional services like coaches or attorneys or doctors, we're selling the intangible. So if I was going to a grocery store and I was going to buy stuff and get sold in the grocery store, what do? We pick up the box of cereal and we read all the benefits. It has this much protein, it has this, it has that, right? And then we flip it over, and often what's there? It's a little story about the company, right? Or the family that owns the company. Or it's a narrative about how these, I love Trader Joe's for that, right? You flip it over, there's always a story. So that
Oh
is
yes.
very clear in the
Yeah.
physical product space. But in the professional services space, like Sue, if I wanted to hire you, right? Like what's your package? Like the blouse you're wearing, is it the glasses we're wearing? Like what is our package? Well, that's where our brand really has the rubber meet the road, because our brand is where people are going to go to our website. They're going to go to social. They're going to go to past interviews that we've done just like this and be like, who is this person? Right? Like, I need to feel your energy. I need to flip your package over and read your story. So, the way that that's done in physical products is very simple, easy. It's printed on the package. The way that we do it in a professional service space is by doing branding, is by having that advanced advice before asking for the sale.
So let's talk about the bottom line. Most entrepreneurs don't see real money in first couple of years. So how branding can help them increase their revenue? or even start their revenue, because most people don't see really substantial revenue in their first couple of years. So I want to know how branding is
Good question.
directly
So,
related to revenue
first of
generation.
all, if we're not making a significant amount of money in our first few years, we're doing something wrong. And it likely has nothing to do with branding. We're not making the right offers to the right people, or we're not making the right offers to the right people at the right frequency. Because if you are, you've got, 20 people you're selling to, well, maybe those 20 don't want it. But if you've got 100 people or 1,000 people, do you think that some of those would raise their hand to work with you if you're talking to the right person for what you offer? Yes. It's like a statistical probability that they would, right? So many people, as you said, might say, I don't see a return from branding. And what really is the message that I would like to share here today is that your branding doesn't have to be perfect to make a dollar, but your branding does have to exist. It absolutely has to exist. Otherwise, you're a freelancer. You don't have a business. You're a freelancer. With all the love, you're a freelancer, right? Every business, every company has a brand, right? Whether you like it or not, right? Maybe it's just the name and people don't know what to feel, so they're confused. Well, now your brand is absent and confused, right? So you have one regardless. What I would say about the investment, I would say that you should follow the model, which is our model, the BMG method: brand, market, grow. The mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make, and I made this mistake when I was starting out too, so don't think that I'm special, but they go right to the middle step. They go right to market, brand, market, grow. They go right to market because they're like, yay, I want clients. Let's do marketing. Let's send emails. Let's send letters. Let's post on social. Let's do all this activity. But guess what? If they haven't done the branding exercise first, if they haven't gone through, who are we talking to? What are we selling them? What is the value? How are we different than the next best competitor? If they've not done that, then when you go to market, guess what? You sound just like everyone else. And so people think that you're just like everyone else. So then they're going to treat you just like everyone else and say no. So how you break through that noise, like a woodpecker on a bright spring morning, right? You can break through that by being different. And so that being different or unique happens within the branding stage. So brand first. And brand, as I mentioned, it's evolving. It's not something that you do once and then never touch again, right? It's not like a logo you create and then never touch. Every piece of communication, every blog that you post, the copy on your sales page, the copy in your welcome email, all of that should be consistent with your brand. And so we want to do the brand first before we market, because I'll tell you, you will have more conversions and more success in your marketing when you have the good brand as your foundation. It's most definitely needed.
Yeah, thank you. And I really like what you said. You don't have to wait for perfection. And as a human being, I really don't think you can be perfect, because the moment you become perfect, you will be God, and then you won't be on this earth. You won't be living human being, because then, yeah, as a living human being, yeah, you cannot be perfect. But hey, as far as you are better today than yesterday, it is a great journey. And I also liked your point, what you said about the confused branding. And see, confused mind doesn't buy anything. So yeah, means if you are confusing your audience, of course the,
Yeah.
yeah, conversion is not going to happen. Yeah, you are giving nuggets after nuggets. I really
Yep.
like this BMG strategy. Yeah, so there are so many things for our listeners to learn, and even for me also, of course, no doubt about it. Now let's talk about the PR and media side, because PR and media, I really don't see much, many of the solopreneurs or entrepreneurs utilizing it,
Mm-hmm.
because they think it is really expensive. Means and generally it is not anybody's frame of mind to do PR and media on their own. So I want your insights about that. How can a solopreneur, entrepreneur gets started in this field, and
So when
how
we're
can
looking at
they
doing
succeed?
PR and media, there's a lot of different avenues that you can take, right? I think that even myself as a marketer, in my early career days, I thought, well, PR is kind of fluffy, right? It's uncertain. It's okay. I'm going to get featured in the news. Like, how do I do that, right? Like, and what is my return from that? And so I kind of discounted that at the beginning of my career, which was really a huge oversight because when you are able to get in the media, it means that some third party is acknowledging you as an expert in your space. And you can be an expert in a lot of things, right? I was talking to someone just a few days ago, and they were a uh, pediatric constipation specialist, right? How is
Oh,
that
wow.
how
I
is
didn't
that
know that
a
exists.
thing, right?
Okay.
But it's true because she's solving a problem for hundreds of children, hundreds of families every single year. And so that's something unique, right? So if I was someone in the media, if I was a journalist, or we wanted to talk about pediatric health or children's well-being or some of the not so bright side of having children, right? Like I would want to talk to someone like that expert, right? So I want to find that expert. And this is, again, goes back to our branding, being very clear about what we do, right? If someone's searching, like if a journalist is searching for that type of expert, we want to be the ones that come up, right? So um, in terms of how you do media for yourself, there are paid ways, right? I run a PR agency, so we do that for clients, but there's also DIY, do it yourself ways that you can do that. And are you going to land a spot on Good Morning America yourself? It's possible. I'm not going to say no, but probably not, right? That's going to come from hiring a professional. But can you get featured on blogs? Can you get featured on big corporate sites? Can you get featured on Forbes by yourself? Maybe. I've seen it happen before. You just got to be at the right place at the right time. So one of the things that we do within my agency, Geek Haus, is that we have a training that teaches people how to do that. But it's really about being out there and being on the correct platforms to connect with the journalists, seeing what they're talking about, and then being bold enough to say, yeah, I can comment on that. I can talk about that. I am an expert enough to talk about that. So when we really look at media, it's got to be that person who has the confidence within themselves to say I am that publicly and give that opinion. So part of it is working with them to make sure that they're solid in that themselves.
Thank you. That's really great to know. So, what are the growth strategies you can give for consultants and
Growth
even agency
strategies. Tell me a
owners?
little bit more. Like, what are you thinking? Growth strategies, how?
See, for example, people can be stuck at any point. Some people might want to go from 100K to 500K, but there are some people who are stuck at
Mhm.
2 million. From 2 million, they want to go to 10
Well, I'll
million.
say because I've been
So,
in businesses that were startups, right? So zero revenue or very minimal.
mhm,
And then I've been in businesses that are, many, many, many millions of dollars. So the problems that you have in a sub 1 million business are very different than the problems that you have in a 4, 5, 6 million plus business, right? Yeah. So for the
absolutely,
people who
yes.
are smaller and kind of under that 1 million mark, I would say that a lot of their growth is going to come from new client acquisition. It's going to come from their marketing. It's going to come from pushing their message out into the audiences of their potential clients, right? That's the game. We need to get clients in the door. On the other side of things, when you're a multi-million dollar operation, clients is still a main focus, but I would trust that you're already at a stage that you're at. So you probably have scalable, repeatable, and predictable methods of marketing, right? When we're looking at marketing, brand, market, grow, the difference between marketing and growing is when you find scalable, repeatable, predictable marketing systems, right? Whether that's sending emails, whether that's sending letters, whether that's doing JV partnerships, whatever it might be. But if you're doing multiple millions, I'm going to trust that you figured out a way to get clients on repeat. Okay, so that's the first. So where's your growth going to come from? Your growth is going to come from operations, time and time and time again. And I've seen this because you'll look at, okay, what are we doing well? Where are we making our money? How much is it costing us to make the money? And if you could arrange those differently, right? It's just putting the building blocks in a different order. And then the water can flow easily, right? So when you're up north of $1 million, you should be looking at marketing as a function of bringing in new clients, yes, but I would take a look inward at operations and look at ways to adjust that and then leverage for marketing.
Thank you. That's really great to know. And yeah, that is what I always mention. As you grow in your business, it's not like that you're going to stop having
True.
challenges. Actually, you will have bigger challenges. And you explained it so well because the challenges are different at different level. And yeah, this is and but hey, I'm really happy to see that you have strategy for everything. So hey, you if anyone can come and say this is my situation, I know you can provide them the solutions. Yeah, this is so great. I wanted to ask you, so what are the four corners in the
The
digital
four
marketing
corners in the
area?
digital marketing area, I'm not sure what the four corners are.
Oh, okay, because here actually in your profile it says that keep in mind the four corners in digital marketing. So so I saw in your profile, so I just wanted to know because I didn't know, so I thought I see in
Well,
your
I-
profile,
I'm
so I
I'm
should
not sure where
ask you.
that's
That
being
was the
pulled
thing.
from, but I guess if I was to answer that question just impromptu, I would say, the four corners would be really the sandbox that you're playing in, right? So if you're a coach and you are helping people um, find their vision, if you're a coach and you're helping people with their marketing, if you're a coach and you're helping people speak better, whatever it is that you're doing, understand the space that you're in. So the most detrimental thing that you could do is put your horse blinders on and think that you're the only offer that people are thinking about, right? So we think about this a lot like secret shopping, right? We've all heard that term. And big corporations do that because they want to know what are their competitors up to, right? So they send secret shoppers in there. Or it could be their own corporation, right? Just kind of
Oh yeah.
wanting to evaluate their own people. But when we
Mm-hmm.
think about that, we want to look at who are our competitors, what are they doing, what are their offers, and then we know that the people who are coming to us as potential clients probably went other places too. So it's good for us to know, Jack down the street and Jill down the street, because then we can talk about them and their offers and their business and really make a solid pitch for why we are different, why we are the better solution for that potential client.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask you, so what is a good marketing budget? And I I'm really happy to see that it is a formula and not a figure.
Very
So
true.
can you
So
give us the
when we look
formula?
at marketing, the question is often, how much should I spend on marketing? And then the question is really like, well, how much do you want to make? Right? Because those are positively correlated. If we look at like PepsiCo, they know for every $1 million they spend on marketing, they're going to generate 8 million back. Okay. So, Sue, if I was to ask you, if you gave me $1, right, like 1 million, if you gave me $1 and I was going to give you $8 back, how many times would you want to do that? All the time, every day. Exactly.
I want to keep on
So
doing
that
it
is
all the
what
time.
marketing should
Yeah.
be. It should be
Yeah.
a machine like an ATM where you feed
Hmm.
dollars in and have excess come out. So when we're looking at what is a good marketing budget, we want to be competitive first and foremost with the people that are marketing the way we are marketing. Listen to how I said that. I didn't say be competitive across the board, but be competitive in the way that you are marketing competitively, right? So what is that? What do I mean by that? So if I'm a small law firm and there's all these other big law firms, I can't compete with them, right? Like we are different. We're just different. And the person who wants them is probably not going to want us. So that's great. That's actually a benefit. But if I'm doing radio advertising, and actually, this is a true story. I had a client who was doing radio advertising, and they were like, "This isn't working. I feel like I'm spending good money, but I'm not getting the results, right?" And I was like, "Listen, before you hire us to do that, we were doing other stuff for them. So I'm like, before you hire us to do that portion of your marketing, let's pull some stats." So they were spending $4,000 to $6,000 a month, and their next best competitor was spending $50,000 a month. So, how would you compete in that
Yeah.
space when you've got someone spending 5 times the amount that you are? It's very difficult. So, instead, why don't we not do that? Save your money. Don't throw it down the toilet into a black hole where you're never going to have the penetration and the conversion that you're looking for. Instead, take that resource, take that money, those marketing dollars, and deploy that budget elsewhere. Maybe it's having an event for small business owners, right? Have an email campaign that drives them to the event, or some other type of marketing strategy. But have your marketing be competitive with your other people, right? If other firms are doing events too, okay, then we need to evaluate that, right? Are their events better? Do they have a big keynote speaker? Do they have gifts on the table? Do they, right? Like that's kind of where it comes in our secret shopping, right? We need to be aware of our competitors, but we need to look at what they're doing, look at their strategy, and then evaluate how are we, knowing what they're doing, how are we going to compete with them?
Yeah, that is so true because I studied about even SEO that big companies they have like so many keywords and they are putting so much money into ads and all, and you cannot compete with SEO on that part. So you should have your
Mhm.
own innovative strategy. So yeah, it's really important. So just wanted to ask you. So thinking about a scale in the very beginning is important, right? Because many times people are starting the business and they are not thinking about scaling. So you tell us about what is the immediate future profitability with
Say that
your
question
speed
one
of
more
growth
time.
and scaling. See, why is thinking about scale
Very
in the
good.
very beginning is
So,
important?
the reason that that is important is because if you are constructing your business in a way that is not productized or not duplicatable or not delegatable, right? Those are all factors of scale. Then guess what? You're not the CEO, you're just your best employee. And you've
Yeah.
replaced your 9 to 5 with
Yeah.
probably a 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., right? Like,
Yeah. You're so true because many solopreneurs they quit their 40 hours of job to work into their business and they end up working 80 hours and they cannot X
so
themselves out of the business. Oh
I see
God,
that all the
go
time
ahead. I want to know
in
more.
law,
Yeah.
right? And also with
Mhm.
coaches, right? Is that they think that, for instance, one-on-one coaching is super valuable and people really want one-on-one coaching. And maybe your clients do, and a select bit of them might really value that. But what if you did small group instead? What if you had 6 to 8 people in that group instead of doing a one-on-one call? Well, okay, just in that example, I'm going to have 8 people and we're going to do it in 1 hour. And everyone in the pod is going to learn from each other and everyone's going to get a chance to answer their question, right? But within that hour, I've just solved 8 people's problems versus if I was to do them one on one, we would have a lot of the, hi, good morning, how are you, what's going on? And then we'd have questions that are probably subpar, right? Because you're just trying to fill the gap or the time. And it's just, it's low quality coaching in my perspective. It's low quality in your business.
No, no, this is so true because many times what happen, people want to ask questions and they hesitate to ask you the question, but in the group setting, someone else
Well,
asks that question and they get the answer. This is such a quality
yep. Well,
conversation,
and
even in
you
the
get the
small group.
benefit. I think
Yeah.
the benefit, the clients get the benefit of knowing that they're not alone, right? Because if you're in a coaching relationship, you can think about it like, the coach is sitting behind the desk, right? And then the client is sitting in front. And it's very, from my podium, I'm giving you advice. And that's fine. But there's a certain level of power shift there that might prevent a client from asking or feeling like they're okay. They're comfortable. Like this is normal wherever they are. And then in the pod setting, guess what? They're all building their own thing, but you're building community, right? And I think that as solopreneurs, a lot of a lot of solopreneurs lack that community because your family doesn't understand other people that
Mhm.
they might be in business but they're an employee, or you might know an owner of a business but it's not what you're doing, right? And you
Mhm.
don't have that conversation. So finding like people who are seeking the same advice that you are has you feel not so crazy, has you feel like, oh, this is normal, like, okay, great, like there's other people like me, and then you learn from them as well, right? So just like as you said, if one person asks the question that the other one was too afraid to ask, great, now they've opened the conversation. And so when we're looking at scale, going back to your original question, scale is a factor of every business unless you're doing like nails, right? Where you have to, surgery, right? Doctors talk about this all the time. They're like, I can't scale because I have to be in the OR, right? I'm in clinic. I have my hours there. I can't scale this. It's like, well, okay, but how do we take a portion of your knowledge and productize that, right? You can be a surgeon, but then what about your aftercare? Well, are you doing aftercare calls and appointments and all of this management and all of that? Great. Let's do that in a group setting, right? And maybe that's not really feasible for some doctors because of HIPAA and whatnot. So you can't do it in a group coaching setting, but you can do it in informational videos, like a course, but think deconstructed, right? So they're not like hopping into the portal. But if you just had surgery, right? Say you are a doctor and you're a plastic surgeon and you just did a procedure, a breast augmentation or a facelift or whatever that might be. Guess what? All of your patients who had that surgery are roughly going to go through the same steps of recovery. So, what if every other day you sent them a 5-minute video telling them about the stage that they should be experiencing now? Okay, you should have some pain now, but you should be taking this to solve that. Okay, great. A few days later, okay, you should be seeing the bruising go down. This should be happening. If you see this, it's okay, but watch it. If it gets to this point, give our office a call, right? Like that is all something that can be automated. And then guess what? Now your calls to your office decrease, your staff is happier, your patients feel more loved, your referrals go up, people are opening your emails. You're not some untouchable big bad doctor. You're actually now their trusted advisor. You're now their friend. Now referrals are going to come in because guess what? People like referring their friends. Even though the doctor did this once, doesn't touch it, doesn't even know that these emails are going out. I mean, they know, but it's not like they're involved, right? And guess what? That's how you build quality relationships based on service in an automated way.
No, this is so great, so important because even like your point, if you are having 8 people and you have 8 one-on-one calls, you are putting 8 hours of your life. Instead of that, you pull all these 8 people into one group, and in 1 hour you empower them even better than doing, and you are saving time for yourself. You are actually catering their needs better ways. This is a great solution. And you stole my sentence. I always say that nobody understands a solopreneur, only one solopreneur understands other solopreneur. Yeah, because as a solopreneur, if you are having, see, for example, I'm doing interviews on Saturdays. If my friends are going for parties, they won't understand why am I having podcast on Saturday. Or if I'm working in my home office like 8 p.m., and then my husband would come and, hey, why are you still working? Yeah, if your friends and family, if they're not solopreneur, they won't understand you. But and that's why it is so important to be in a community of other solopreneurs, because you see they are going through the same challenges and how they are overcoming. This is so important. And this automation, this is really a time saver, because first of all, everyone is getting the aftercare as they need. So that means they don't have to struggle to find a spot on your calendar, because everyone may not get. So they are getting the timely help. You are serving them better. And hey, and sometimes as a human being, yeah, you may forget to set up the appointment or something may happen, but hey, with the automation, they are getting whatever need, means of that video you are saying about, whatever is needed service later on, whatever needed advice automatically, so that they can take action. This is so important. And this is means this is a clearly win-win situation, because your clients are winning, your in doctor's case patients are winning, doctor is winning, everybody is, it's a win-win situation. And really appreciate me, I can go on and on, I can ask you a lot of questions. So I want to ask you, so what about in highly competitive market, it is not always needed to put lot of money for client acquisition. So what is the ideal cost per conversion or cost per lead you can
That's gonna vary.
recommend or
It's
you can
really gonna
suggest?
vary. Some areas of law, you are able to get, clients for $60 lead cost. In other areas, you're looking at a $1,500 lead cost. So, it's gonna be based on what area. I mean, and again, I'm speaking about law firms, but it's going to matter what area of law you're in. It's going to matter what geographic area. If you're in Los Angeles and you want really great leads, you're going to pay more than if you're in the middle of Kansas, right? Just because of pure demographic factors, right? So, that's kind of a
Hmm.
sliding scale. It's going to depend on your practice area. It's going to depend on your geographic area. Yeah, so there's not really a clear answer as in terms of how much that should cost.
So who is your ideal customer and who can approach
That's
you
a good
and where they
question.
can find
So
you?
our ideal clients are lawyers and doctors, but also coaches, because in the space of professional services, coaches are providing a professional service, right? It's not a physical product. And when we talk about coaches specifically, they could be providing a service, right? So many coaching hours or this blueprint or whatever that might be, but they're also providing access. And so when we think about, goods and services, well, now we've got the digital age. So now we've got this third category of how do you sell access? And that's something I think my team and Geek House really excel at, is how do you make an offer? How do you position? How do you communicate? And how do you deliver access very well? And so that is one of our focuses. So um, coaches and other people like that, they have to package, right? You have to package yourself because no one's going to do it for you. And even if they did, we're extracting it from you, right? Like you are the business, you have the vision, you are the mind. So as a brander, right, if I'm putting my branding hat on, I'm just extracting that from you and putting it in a nice bubble, right? Putting it in a nice way. So people who are interested to learn a little bit more can check out case studies and all these details on our website, which is gogeekhouse.com. So go, G-O, geek, G-E-E-K, and house we spell a little bit different, H-A-U-S. So go geek, H-A-U-S, gogeekhouse.com. And then for anyone who is interested in dipping their toe into the media side of things, I always say it's good to crawl and walk before you run, right? That's what we do as babies. You got to start somewhere. So before you're
Yeah.
running all the way over to Good Morning America, we want to crawl and walk. And the way that we do that is on local media, is on
Mm-hmm.
podcasts and other forms of media that are not, top tier. So I teach you how to do that, how to find podcast shows, how to pitch the hosts, and really go through that process A to Z. And we do that on the podcast guest intensive. So it's a training that I run semi-frequently. And if you go to the website and you see the date there, the date's always renewing. So just got to put that note in there. Again, you can go to podcastguestintensive.com. And I always make the offer. Bring a friend. Have the friend go to the website, register, and then you guys do it together. Because again, what am I doing? You're in a pod. You're finding someone who has a similar goal for you. So you're more likely to actually do what I teach and see the results, right? There's no cost for attending. You get to come in and we spend a few hours and I literally walk you through every process. I give you templates and all of this great stuff. So podcastguestintensive.com.
Yeah, that's really great to know. So I asked whatever I wanted to ask, but in case I missed out on any point, and if you want to add, please feel
Hmm.
free to do so
If
right
I had a
now.
message to say, I think we covered everything that we needed to. I think this has been a great time that we've spent together. But if I was to say one closing word, I would tell people that as you're building your business, the anxiety or the confusion or the frustration is all part of the journey, right? And it's really to not have the lows be too low or the highs be too high, and to keep your cork floating right there on the top, because you're going to have bad days. You're going to have great days. But we've got to remember as solo entrepreneurs that we are in charge of how we feel most of the time, right? Or we can be. When you're an employee, it's your boss, right? If your boss said good job, then you feel good. If your boss said bad job, then you feel bad. But as a solopreneur, who is that boss? Oh, wait, yes, hello, it's you, right? So sometimes you got to talk in the mirror. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. It's
Yeah.
okay to be a little weird, right? That's okay. We're all human and we're all here to serve people. So if you're coming from a place of service, right? Not sales, but service, it makes your sales easier, right? Because you're serving the other person, and just love yourself a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You should love yourself because when you love yourself, you can love others. Yeah, because then once
So
your cup
true.
is full, you can share it with others, right? This is so empowering advice. So we really appreciate you coming on our podcast, blessing our family, blessing our community. And yeah, I personally I'm interested in collaborating with you. It's really I want to know more about podcasting. Yeah, this is my third year, but still I feel there is a lot more to learn, lot more to grow. And hey, so really appreciate you coming here
Thank
and
you too.
sharing your insights. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks so
And
much.
yeah, enjoy your
Thanks
weekend.
for
Yeah,
having me,
take
Sue.
care. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Take care. Hey, thanks for joining us. We are blessed to have you as part of our community, and whatever way we can help you, serve you, let us know. Please subscribe and let us know how we can help you, what resources you want. We have lots of free resources and also free collaboration joint venture groups you can join and explode your business, because most solopreneurs quit their business before they launch their first products, and I don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we have special launch service where you can monetize your digitals and become profitable as fast as within 7 days. And if you want to scale your business, join our membership New Beginning Success Collaboration, where we'll provide you MRR and PLR products and collaborations so that you can scale your business with ease and effortlessly. And hey, if you want to sell your digitals all over the world, yes, we will provide you affiliates more than 200 countries. So everything is possible. Just live your dream, follow your dream, and whichever way we can help you, do let us know. Thank you and God bless you.